right, today we're going to dive into one of the most incredible pieces of engineering you own. Now, this isn't going to be a dry anatomy lesson. We're going to uncover the secret design philosophy that makes it work. And the best way to understand this design is by solving a puzzle. It really comes down to these two questions. First, why are the muscles that straighten your knee, the powerful ones, designed to be lone wolves, while the muscles that bend it are built for teamwork? And second, why is just bending your knee almost never a simple one-off movement? Let's dig in. Okay, first up, the extensor. We're talking about the muscle group on the front of your thigh, your quadriceps. These are the muscles that straighten your knee. And the big question here is, why are these incredibly strong muscles designed to do just one thing, acting only on that one joint? To get this, we just need two quick terms. A monoarticular muscle is what we'll call a specialist. It only crosses one joint. Then you have a biarticular muscle, which is more of a coordinator. It crosses two joints, say the hip and the knee. Our knee extensors, the quads, are specialists, and that is absolutely on purpose. So why the specialist design? Well, your quads are basically your primary anti-gravity muscles. Their number one job is to stop you from crumpling to the floor every time you stand up, walk, or even just stand still. To do that, they have to produce massive, stable, and predictable force. They can't be worried about what your hip or your ankle is doing. They're built for one thing and one thing only: pure, reliable power. And that's really the core principle right there. When it comes to straightening the knee and fighting gravity, your body chooses raw, dependable power over complex coordination every single time. It's a system built for rock-solid stability. Now, let's flip things around and look at the back of the leg, at the flexors. These are the muscles that bend the knee, with the hamstrings being the star player. And here, the design philosophy does a complete 180. These muscles are all about coordination. And it makes perfect sense when you think about it. I mean, when was the last time you only bent your knee without also moving your hip or your ankle? Probably never, right? Bending your knee is almost always just one piece of a much bigger coordinated movement. The body isn't trying to just bend a knee, it's trying to accomplish a task, like taking a step or kicking a ball. You can see this teamwork everywhere. When you swing your leg forward to walk, your knee bends as your hip flexes. When you get up from a chair, your knee bends as part of that big hip extension movement. When you push off the ground to run, it's all happening in sync with your ankle. The flexors are designed as biarticular coordinators for a reason, because their job is always connected to the joints next door. Okay, now we get to the most fascinating, kind of mind-bending part of this whole story, what I like to call the hamstring paradox. This is where it gets wonderfully counterintuitive. Get this. How can the muscles whose main job is to bend the knee actually help to straighten it? The secret lies in one of the body's most brilliant strategies for being efficient. Instead of having tons of muscles firing all over the place, the body loves to use its huge power generators, like your glutes, and then just transfer that force to other places using passive structures. Think of them like mechanical cables. And can you guess what often plays the role of that cable? Yep, the hamstrings. Let's walk through exactly how this works. Say you're doing something powerful, like standing up from a deep squat. First, your massive glute muscles fire hard to extend your hip. As your hip extends, it pulls on the hamstrings from the top, stretching them tight like a guitar string. That tension then travels all the way down the muscle, crosses the back of the knee, and acts like a rigid stabilizing cable. At that moment, the hamstring isn't actively trying to bend the knee at all. It's just holding it steady. In fact, one of the sources for this explainer puts it perfectly. It says the hamstrings become tension cables. They aren't the engine in that moment. They're the transmission system, channeling all that power from the hip to lock down and secure the knee. So what's the switch? What determines whether your hamstring acts like an engine or a cable? It all comes down to something called the kinetic chain. But forget the jargon, it's really simple. The only question you need to ask is your foot free and swinging in the air, or is it planted firmly on the ground? And here it is. This is the big aha moment that solves our whole puzzle. The difference is like night and day. When your foot is free, we call that an open chain, like when you're swinging your leg to walk. The hamstrings contract, shorten, and act as powerful knee benders. But the second your foot is fixed to the ground, a closed chain, like in a squat or climbing stairs, the primary role completely flips. They become stabilizers, acting as those tension cables we talked about to support the knee. It's the same muscle doing two totally different jobs. Incredible. Okay, so this is all really cool biomechanics, but let's get to the point. Why does any of this actually matter to you, in your body, every single day? Because this isn't just theory, it has huge real-world implications. I mean, this is absolutely critical. That stabilizing cable function is literally what protects your ACL from injury. It pulls back and counteracts those dangerous forward-shifting forces. It's the secret to moving efficiently and powerfully in sports, and it totally changes how you should think about training. It tells you exactly why exercises like deadlifts and good mornings are so vital for knee health, because they train the hamstring to be a stabilizer, which is arguably even more important than just training it to be a flexor with leg curls. Which, of course, brings us right back to the main puzzle here. If the muscles that are literally named flexors aren't doing the flexing when we squat, then how in the world does your knee bend? So yeah, let's ask it one more time. Knowing what we know now, feet are on the ground, you're squatting down, what is making that knee bend? The answer is pretty mind-blowing. It's what we can call a controlled collapse. It has nothing to do with pulling. It's all about letting go. So picture this. Your quads, those big muscles on the front of your thigh, they're the ones holding you up, right? To squat, they just start to ease off a little. They relax their grip. And as soon as they do, gravity and your body weight take over, pulling you down. Your knee bends simply because the brakes are being gently, slowly released. This is the absolute best way to think about it. Imagine you're lowering an elevator. You don't grab a rope and pull it down, do you? No way. You just ease off the brake and control the speed as it goes down. That's exactly what's happening. Your quads are the brake system, and gravity is the force doing all the pulling. So if the flexors aren't pulling, what are they doing during a squat? Well, they're not lazy. They have this incredibly important, sophisticated job. They're like the mission control for your knee. They're not creating the movement, no, but they are stabilizing the whole joint, controlling any unwanted rotation, protecting your ligaments. They're basically the guides and safety brakes, making sure that controlled collapse is smooth and safe. And it doesn't stop there. It actually gets even cooler, because we tend to think of the knee as just a simple hinge, right? Like on a door. But it's so much more complex. It also rotates. And guess who's in charge of that? Yep, our so-called flexors. Yeah, the science on this is super clear. There's really no such thing as a pure knee flexor in the real world. In any functional movement, flexion, that bending motion, is always happening at the same time as a little bit of rotation and a whole lot of stabilization. You just can't separate them. So we basically have two teams of muscles managing this rotation. You've got your medial rotators, which help turn your lower leg inward, and then the lateral rotators, which turn it outward. And the really cool part? Look at the names of the players. A lot of these are the same flexor muscles we've been talking about. It just goes to show they're wearing multiple hats. Now, this is fascinating. Look at the strength difference between the inward rotators and the outward rotators. It's almost nothing. They're nearly perfectly balanced. And that is a huge clue. It tells us their main job isn't to powerfully twist your leg one way or the other. It's to work together, in balance, to keep the knees stable while you're moving. So when you put all of this together, what do you get? You get this really elegant design philosophy for the entire knee. It's basically a tale of two very different approaches. You've got brute force on one side and intelligent finesse on the other. And here's the bottom line. Your extensors, your quads, they're the powerhouse, the engine. They're built for pure, raw force. They hold you up, they push you, they propel you. But the flexors, they're the finesse players. They're the brains of the operation. Their job is all about coordination, fine-tuning rotation, transferring energy, and just control. So from now on, every time you squat down or take a seat, you'll know what's really happening. You're not pulling your knee into a bend, you're controlling its fall. And it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other simple things we do every single day are built on this kind of hidden, beautiful complexity?